peeps. Well, I'm back here on the comfy couch, so welcome to another episode of the UnMothered. I wanted to talk about growing up being afraid because we just did an episode with my daughter and I and all the trust issues that came up and things because I grew up in this really violent home life, and it just bumped up the anxiety. And so it made me question about thinking about this episode. It just made me think about how I grew up just being so mistrustful, so scared to do anything, didn't really have a lot of words of affirmation from my parents. And so now it rears its ugly head from time to time. And so, what kind of things can we do to lessen the sting of that and not be afraid at everything, and have ways to calm our body, to calm our mind, to question if some of those fears are valid or not? So, I thought that would be a really good episode today because we haven't really talked about, growing up being scared. And when you grow up in a situation where I did, so watching my parents fight physically, being asleep in the middle of the night and waking up to hearing screams and then beatings was not something that the normal kid should ever have to listen or grow up feeling, but it makes you scared all the time. And so those things are traumatic. And then you grow up just having that in your body, knowing that there's an inner child in you saying, like, everything is so fearful. Like, are we safe? That's really the basic thing. Are we safe? Are we going to be safe in this situation? You just feel like at any moment something bad can happen. And so there are the normal everyday things that go on in our life. So I'll give you an example. I'm the worst passenger driver. So I don't like driving out of town by myself. I get anxiety from that, a little fearful of that. But I'm the worst passenger driver. Dominique gets so mad at me because I start looking at all the possibilities. Somebody is getting too close to our lane. Somebody brakes too fast in front of us. Like all these things, right? Someone cuts you off. And I do this like gasp, like, ah! Or I scream, or I put my foot on the emergency brake that is imaginary on my side of the car that I think is going to stop the car and save us. And I realize like that just comes from like this fearful place. Like I feel like we're in danger. Like, I'm looking around. So I have to literally not look at the traffic so that I don't scare her, because a lot of times I would gasp or scream out and she's like, "You're freaking me out. Like I almost got in an accident because of you screaming at the car that I saw already, and I was fine. Nothing was going to happen." And yet for me, it was like, danger, danger, we're going to get hurt. So how many times throughout the day do you have those kind of feelings, where your little inner child is going like, this is dangerous, this is scary, we shouldn't do this, I want to be safe. You're trying to put yourself in this bubble. And if you've grown up with big T trauma, because you have actually witnessed things that are unsafe and been in situations where it's unsafe, this is something you have to start unwinding. And it is, if you don't recognize it, you just think like, I could just be like, oh, that car scared me, that's why I screamed, like that's why I gasped. But really it's a deeper thing, because I do it all the time. And I have to retrain myself, because I do it with no matter who I'm with. I'm always thinking we're going to get in an accident. As soon as I see something unusual, it happened again last night. My husband and I were driving, and we were pulling out of a parking lot, and something happened, and I kind of gasped, and he goes, no, that scared me too. So it was valid, but it was like I have these moments of fear, and I try to lessen that a little bit, asking myself good questions of like, am I in danger right now? Not really, like, and also the worst case scenario, we get hit out of a parking lot. It's not dangerous. Like it's not going to be good because we're going to have to fix my car, but it's not dangerous. And so I think that we have to determine, what is actually danger? What do we really actually need to be afraid of? And what are the things that have just been settled in our body that we continue to think that everything is dangerous? The other thing that I get fearful of is just like new experiences and new things. And I'm not really sure like where this comes from. Maybe because my mom liked things to always stay the same. And so I also have grown up being super sensitive to things, and I get afraid of like new adventures. Like I'm not a super adventurous person. Things scare me. And so I like kind of doing safe things. So even as simple as this. So I have a story of last weekend, I went to a wedding with my husband of people. It was someone that was from his old job. My husband was, he was the boss over him. He was the overseer. And this young guy invited him to his wedding. And my husband was honored. And I was petrified because he wanted to go to this wedding out of town. I knew not one single person that was going to this wedding. So that to me is a fear. What do I do when I don't know anybody? My anxiety starts going up. I'm thinking of all the crazy things. And I didn't want to go. Also, I have major trust issues. It's just like I have all these things. And so I'm constantly fighting against the stuff that's been imparted in my body, the trauma that's been imparted in my body, to get rid of that and be like, stop it. Like the reality is this is an honor. My husband really wants to go to this wedding. I have to honor this situation with him and go. And what's the worst that can happen? Like nothing bad's going to happen. Is it uncomfortable? Sure, maybe a little bit. The other thing is this person was of Hispanic nature. And so we knew that the whole wedding was going to be in Spanish. It would not be in English. Most of the people there would be Hispanic, not really fluent in English. And so that was another thing. I was like, how do I communicate? I don't know. Like, am I going to be okay? And so it was just a lot of anxiety around that. So I started overthinking everything, and I knew that the wedding was in the afternoon, but I going into evening, but I was thinking like, okay, it's Hispanic culture, like bright colors, like wear something, with bright colors and like happy colors. Don't wear black. But my first instinct was like, well, wear a nice black dress, like kind of going into evening. And then I overthought it and I was like, no. So I picked out this dress that was this blue crocheted. It was pretty. It was a blue crochet dress. I feel like it was more of a daytime dress though. And I got there and I didn't realize these women were like very excited for this wedding, and they were all dressed in like sequins, evening gowns, like thigh high slit up, up to their thigh, and these skin tight dresses, like one shoulder dresses, like very fancy dresses. I looked like a grandma in my little like long sleeve, like crochet kind of dress. It was a midi dress. It was hysterical. I was like the worst fear. So what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of dressing wrong. And I did exactly the thing that I was most afraid of, is I stuck out like a sore thumb, and people were kind of looking at me like, who's this lady? And so that was like another, perfect example of just like overthinking in my head and just, feeling out of place. But the reality is that it didn't matter, because it was really about the bride and groom. And so we got to meet them. They were so excited. My husband was there. They kept telling me, like, we are so honored that you guys have come. The wife said, oh my gosh, Alejandro has spoken about Mike so many times, and I just wanted to put a face to the name. And they were just so thrilled we were there. And then as it turned out, we met another one of the workers that he worked with and met his wife, who was just lovely. And we ended up talking for a few hours just during the reception time. And it turned out to be such a great time. But my fear is where things hold me back. And so here's the thing. This is where your faith comes in, is that I didn't trust exactly where I knew I needed to be. I was like trying to fight the whole thing. And this was really special to my husband and to Alejandro and his wife, Pamela. It had nothing to do with me. And so I was putting all this emphasis on what was going to happen to me, but really it was about the wedding, and it was about, honoring my husband too, and doing something that he really wanted to do and wanted to be with this person. And I should have trusted that God would take care of everything. And he did, because as soon as I got there, he threw a person in my path that I had a great conversation with. We ended up having a really good conversation about our kids, and she has younger kids, and we were talking about, some different things going on. And so I think, our traumas can hold us back from just even the regular things that, like that's a super simple story, but the fear I could have really dug my foot in and said, I am not going to this wedding. Like, I'm scared. I don't want to do it. And my husband would have honored that, but it would have upset him, because either he would have had to go by himself, which he wanted to bring me and show people, like, here's my wife, or he would have not gone, and he would have been upset about it, and they would have been sad because they really this guy wanted to introduce him to his new wife now too. And so I think that we become overly sensitive to these things where we want to stay in our safe little bubble because we're so afraid of life, and we're so afraid of things that could happen, the what ifs. But I think that we play it too safe, and we never rock the boat. And sometimes you just got to rock the boat. You just got to take that chance and go out and do something that is different. So I think in talking about this and just thinking about so many things that we're afraid of because we've been brought up in this fearful environment, is know that you don't have to live the former things that have scarred or traumatized you. Talk to that inner child and let them know that you have it under control. Like, I constantly have to talk to myself and say, is this reasonable, or is this just me being scared right now? And if it's just me being scared right now, there's room for me to grow in that area. Take a deep breath and ask yourself, like, what do you need to make yourself feel safe? I knew that Mike was going to be with me. I knew that he wouldn't leave me if he knew that I was uncomfortable in a situation. And he didn't. He stayed by my side the whole time, unless he went and got me food. Then he was like, what do you want? Do you want snacks? And so that just made it feel safe and cared for, because I had somebody next to me who was like, I'm not going to, make you feel even more uncomfortable or more unsafe. I'm going to be right next to you. Know that God is going to bring goodness to the things that make you uncomfortable. The enemy is the one that's trying to keep us in a box, uncomfortable, unsafe, not feeling, worthy of the world. Those are lies, and those are things that you have to fight against all the time, because there's a mission for you that God has for you, and there's an enemy who's going to try to prevent you from going on that mission and being all that you can be. So know that, God is going to bring goodness to every hard thing that you're going to go through. He's going to bring goodness out of it. He's going to put people in your path. I used to be afraid of flying by myself, like to the bone, just so scared of flying by myself. And I would always pray to God. I was like, God, I'm scared. I don't know where I'm going. I would have to go to these conferences for writing and speaking, and I would just, be petrified, but I knew I had to do it to get there. And I knew I would have fun once I got there, but I was so scared. And I would always pray and say, Lord, just get me there safely. And there was some times when the plane was delayed, when things got switched around, when I had to take a tram from one end of the Chicago airport to the other. And I had never done that before. It was so scary. And I would pray the whole time. And he always took care of me, always covered me. He'd put people in my path to show me where I was supposed to go, where my gate was. I even had a guy that drove one of those car things, and I was running late, almost missing my flight. And the guy was like, jump in, I'll take you over there. It would have taken me probably 20 to 25 minutes to run with my suitcase to this place. I would have missed my flight. I was the last person to get on this flight. And had I not jumped on, this guy showed up out of nowhere. that was God. Like he was like, I got you. Don't worry about it. So there are things that we stop ourselves from because we don't trust ourselves. It's like you don't have to trust yourself. Trust God. He's gonna take care of those scary situations. And I do want it to be said that if you have gone through some traumatic things in your past that have made you so fearful, I just want to say I'm sorry if no one has said that to you. That is not okay. And it is a really scary place to be in, but know that change is possible, and you really need to step into that, and don't let this fear keep you stuck. Don't ever give up. Like, keep going forward. Do things that are different. Don't let it stop you from becoming the best version that you can be. We're going to continue to feel that uncomfortableness, the mistrust, but just don't let it rule your life. Like, make sure that you question everything. If you start being scared of something that's unreasonable, I mean, fear has its place, right? You should be scared of certain things. But when it's stuff like, I'm afraid to drive in a car, I'm afraid to fly by myself, I'm afraid to go to this party and walk in, by myself, like those kind of things. Don't let that stop you from living this full life. You don't know what's around that corner. You may meet someone that will be your next best friend. You may be in a place where you're looking for that next job, and if you don't go to this networking thing, you're never going to meet that person that may be offering you your dream job. Like, there's so many possibilities. When I flew by myself to these conferences, when I got there, I've made some of the most richest, beautiful relationships with other writers and speakers that have supported me through the years, and I've supported them. And we have formed this beautiful bond of helping each other sell our books and be there for each other during hard times, personal situations. They can text me. We get to pray with each other. There's actually a group of us that are going to meet in California in September. We have been friends since the pandemic. That was a huge one. I met these girls during a time when all the airports were being shut down, and God was like, you need to go to this conference. And it was a small conference of 30 women, and the place where they were going to have it shut down, and they went to the Billy Graham Center in Asheville, South Carolina, and they said, can we have this event here? And they said, yes, we're not closing down. Bring those women here. So at every point, we should have been scared and saying, like, the airports are shutting down, the venues are shutting down, nobody wants to be together. And yet the founder of this Christian Communicators, I'm going to shout out to Tammy Whitehurst and Lori Boroff, they wanted to have this conference and bring us together. They said, we don't know why, but we feel like these women need to be together. And we all flew from different places, totally scared. Those friendships have lasted over the years. So we're talking, 5 years later, we all have each other's numbers. That's part of the group that we're going to get together with these women. We have become such good friends. We've seen each other at other conferences. We feel a sisterhood with these women. That would not have happened had I been scared and said, no, everything's shutting down. This is so unsafe. I can't go. There was a pull in me that was bigger. There was something where God was saying, I really want you to go. Just go. Like, I know you're scared. Just go. You need to be there. I would never have met these women that I feel like they're sisters to me. They are always there when I need them. And so don't let things stop you. Don't be afraid of the world. Even though you've grown up in this trauma-filled place where things have been scary, question it. Just question it. That's all I'm asking you to do. And just let your inner child know, this is not unsafe right now. This is just something that you're feeling, and I'm going to help you get through this. So I hope this episode helped you. Be brave and not afraid. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye, peeps.